Hey guys, so before we begin today's Hindu summary, wishing you all a very happy Republic Day. This is a daily analysis of the Hindu for today, that is 26th of January 2017. Will be presented to you by me, Dipanshu Singh. A holiday today for all of you guys, but then we have to continue with our preparations. So you can read more about me on this slide. You can also follow me on an academy on this link to rate and review the course and recommend each and every video down at the bottom right corner over here. So the practice question today is who has been bestowed with the first ever Hugo Chavez Prize for Peace and Sovereignty of Venezuela? So these are the options: Barack Obama, Vladimir Putin, Raul Castro, or Angela Merkel. And the answer for yesterday's question is the theme for Jaipur Literature Festival 2017 was Freedom to Dream India at 70. So the next we'll start with this lesson. The first page is a national news coming from the state of Kerala regarding the organ donations due to malpractices over there. Kerala government has actually decided to bring the entire organ transplantation scenario in state under the scanner. So this will include live and deceased donor organ transplants happening in the both public and the private sector hospitals. So this is to ensure better accountability and transparency to the process of organ donation. And the decision has been taken following the concerns and speculations which have been raised by different sections of the society, including due to the possibilities of exploitation, especially in the case of live donor organ transplants. And this is being coordinated by the government through Kerala's network for organ sharing, and the government has absolutely no data. This is one of the biggest concern because they do not have any data on the number of living donor organs transplants that is happening in the private sector hospitals across the state. And approximately 1,000 to 1,200 live kidney donations and less than 500 live liver donations are performed in the state annually. And there is no exact data on the number of live donations, the health status of the donor, or the survival data of those who have received the organs in the private sector. The next one is regarding corruption index. So Transparency International has put India on the list for failing to curb corruption. So this is a major international index of corruption transparency brought to by Transparency International Index. So it has ranked India with Brazil and China with a combined score of 40. And India's condition actually showed growth with inequality. And India's ongoing poor performance with a score of 40 actually reiterates the fact that the state is unable to effectively deal with the petty corruption and large-scale corruption scandals. So if you look at the rankings on 2010, 2015 and 2016, so India actually improved their rank from 87 to 76, but it actually came back to 79, and the score is still at 40. And if you compare that with the other countries like Estonia, our neighbor Pakistan, and USA. So South Asia has generally performed very poorly this time. Bangladesh is at 27th and Nepal is at 29th position, was slotted in the highly corrupt section. So Pakistan at 32 also came in the red zone. Afghanistan ranked 15 with the highly corrupt list, with the South Sudan, North Korea and Libya. So these are actually the scores, and the rest of the countries are ranked over here. You can look at this index on comparison of the other countries. And Transparent International is actually an international non-governmental organization based in Berlin since 1993, and it does not take any investigations on single cases of corruption or exposes individual cases. It works through its national chapters, and the Corruption Perceptions Index ranks countries and territories based on how corrupt their public sector is perceived to be. It is a composite index, a combination of polls drawing on corruption-related data collected by a variety of reputable institutions. So very important news for exam point of view. And the next is regarding that the post office will actually work as the passport seva kendras to tackle the issue of manpower, lack of manpower. So as the government is grappling with the lack of manpower for huge amount of passport applications, the postal department has come to the rescue. So first of it has already started working from 25th January onwards in Mysuru, and it would also act like any other seva kendra where applicants' biometrics and photographs will be taken, and the documents will be verified, and the decision for granting passport will be taken. And so the Ministry of External Affairs is actually also planning to outsource this work to TCS, the upload of the work related to document upload and the capturing of fingerprint and photograph, while the rest of the work would be managed by the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, GSLV's cryogenic engine upper stage has been tested successfully. If you remember, we had covered this news previously in the Hindu summary as well. So, developed by ISRO, this GSLV Mark III is intended to actually launch very heavier satellites in the geostationary orbits, and it features an an Indian cryogenic third stage and a higher payload capacity with the current GSLV. If you look at the little background on this, India actually earlier used to use the cryogenic engines developed by Russian Space Agency, and due to the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, India was not able to procure earlier the cryogenic engines for space development. So that is why they had to go for their indigenous space development program for the cryogenic engine. Now this contains three propulsion systems. Stage 1 consists of S200 rocket solid motor. Stage 2 consists of liquid motor, which is improvised version of the Vikas engine, and the stage 3 consists of the maximum thrust, which is given by the cryogenic designated as C25, which would be powered by the indigenously developed CE20 engine. And the ISRO propulsion research complex is located at Mahendragiri, which successfully conducted the stage level test of GSLV's Mark III cryogenic upper stage C25 engine. The next one is regarding another very important news from science point of view, that GM mosquito trials will continue to control dengue and chikungunya. So there will be outdoor cage trials to demonstrate the efficiency of genetically modified mosquitoes to suppress the wild female Aedes aegypti mosquito populations that actually cause dengue, chikungunya, Zika. This was launched on January 23rd in Maharashtra. So the release of the basically these insects carrying dominant lethal genes. So they will use the RIDL technology. And they have, and the two organizations, private companies, GBIT and Oxitec, which have given permission from the Indian regulatory authorities. So Oxitec's basically technology uses these genetically modified male Aedes aegypti mosquitoes that carry a dominant lethal gene. So once they mate with the female mosquitoes, this gene gets passed on to the offspring, and the lethal gene actually kills these offspring in the larva before they reach adulthood. And the important fact is that since only female mosquitoes bite humans and male mosquitoes do not bite humans, therefore the release of these GM males will not increase the risk of dengue, chikungunya, and the Zika. But then this technique is not very feasible for India, because for per person there will be a requirement of releasing 100 to 150 mosquitoes every week, per month actually, to compete with wild mosquitoes in mating. And since it cannot have offspring as the larvas dies during maturity, huge amount of mosquitoes have to be released every month, and it will be therefore a costly affair. So India is looking at another alternative. They have signed an MOU with the Monash University by using control Wolbachia infected Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. So the vector control using this technology is achieved by using the life-shortening bacteria strain in both the male and female mosquitoes to control dengue, Zika or chikungunya virus, which cannot replicate when the mosquitoes have this Wolbachia virus. The thing is, Wolbachia bacteria actually, sorry for that. The downside of this only problem is that the release of even a single female mosquito infected with Wolbachia could actually potentially lead to an alien bacteria spreading into the target population. So there's a risk of this female mosquito biting the target population. So the next is another very important news from environment, that new species of songbird two new species of songbird had been identified. These have been located in the Western Ghats. These are the shortwicks, Sholicola, and the other one is the laughing thrushes as Montesinsala. So the newly described Sholicola is confined to the Agastya Marai mountain ranges. Very important news for the Western Ghats point of view, and then environment news in the UPSC Prelims. So these birds basically live in the most vulnerable parts of the ecosystem, fragmented forest patches on the highest peaks of the range, and that is facing increasing pressure from the human activities and climate change. And President Pranab Mukherjee, on the eve of the address, on the eve of Republic Day's public address, has batted for simultaneous polls and also backed demonetization. He had also forwarded this idea to Election Commission to carry out this idea in the consultation with political parties, and he backed demonetization, saying that it may have led to temporary slowdown in economy, but it will bring more transparency in the system. And he also asserted that the country's strength lies in its pluralism and diversity, and that India has traditionally celebrated the argumentative Indian and not the intolerant Indian. And he also underlined the strengths of Indian democracy, but also cautioned against the disruptions in the parliament and the state assembly, because he said that we have a noisy democracy, but we need more and not less of democracy. So very important from mains point of view. So the next is international news. So this is all filled up with the news related to India and UAE strategic partnerships. So India, fill strategic reserve facility at Mangaluru with oil from UAE. So India had signed a deal with UAE that actually allows it to fill half of the underground crude oil storage facility at Mangaluru. That is a part of India's strategic reserve system. So UAE is India's fifth largest, biggest oil supplier, India's world's third biggest oil consumer, and it is previously India has already filled the other half of the Mangaluru storage in Karnataka with Iranian oil, and it has also filled a Vizag storage site in southern Andhra Pradesh with 7.55 million barrels of Iraqi oil, and is invited bid from suppliers to fill it at the Padur facility in Karnataka. And if you look at the Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserve, it is an emergency fuel store of total of 5 million metric tons of crude oil. That is enough to provide 10 days of consumption. This is basically done to hedge against the energy security risk as we import most of our oil needs. And India is also planning to expand 4 more strategic crude oil facilities in the second phase at Bikaner in Rajasthan, Rajkot in Gujarat, Padur in Udupi district of Karnataka, and Chadikol in Jaipur district of Odisha. And apart from that, India and EU have signed Strategic Partnership Pact, and they have also sealed 14 agreements, including comprehensive strategic partnership with the UAE. And the summit level talks, however, fell short of clinching a major investment agreement for India. So this was the only disappointment. And the Crown Prince described the strategic agreement as a testimony to the age-old ties between the two sides. And apart from this, the agreements on defense industries, maritime support, cybersecurity, shipping, and transport were also signed. And India has also signed the strategic partnership with more than 30 countries. But then there is a difference between strategic partnerships which are signed with different countries, so you need to be aware of that. And Business Page News at that center is yet to decide on the digital payments report, which was submitted by a panel of chief ministers on encouraging digital payments. They also recommended actually levying a handling charge sort of tax on cash transactions above rupees 50,000, and they had also recommended to encourage digital payments by giving various incentives both to the consumer merchants in form of some tax breaks, and they also wanted to abolish merchant discount rate to make digital payments cheaper than cash in its interim report. So, we have already covered what is merchant discount rate. So this is the charged by bank at the point of sale machine by the merchants. And China has actually backed regional trade pact after US has exited from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So China is hoping that it will clinch deals on the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP) and the Free Trade Agreement of the Asia Pacific (FTA) following the formal exit of US from TPP. And there are speculation that whether USA would join RCEP or China would join TPP. And in the Asia Pacific, the US exit has actually triggered different responses, from calls to refocus on the RCEP to revive the TPP with China as its new member. So China will be a dominant country in these trade negotiations. So this is it for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. So till next video, I hope you have a good day. Thank you so much.